All right, what's up and welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom. My name is Alex Liu and this is my podcast, Win or Lose Chiefs News. I am a bit delayed in getting this out. I wanted to do this in the month of June, but we're doing it here on 4th of July weekend. So I've got a number of things I want to run through, just kind of covering what has gone on in the world of football and for the Chiefs specifically through the month of June. And then I will be back ideally this month once we do get into training camp, as that is right around the corner here. I'm going to leave a link to my blog on WordPress down below in the description of this video, so please check that out. Please hit that like and subscribe button, share. I would love all the support. It doesn't really matter who's listening to this. I'm an aspiring videographer and video editor. I'm a huge Chiefs fan, so it's definitely something that I like to talk about, and this is kind of an outlet for me. For anyone who knows me and who has seen any of my videos, it's a lot better, trust me, than talking my wife, or I used to talk my mom's ear off about the Chiefs. So this is my little corner, my little outlet to just talk about the Chiefs and just kind of unwind. And so yeah, let's get into some June topics. The second group of OTAs, or second phase of OTAs as it's often referred to, from June 1st to June 3rd. So that was that. I'm so delayed, obviously, a month after, so I'm not really going to get into any nitty-gritty details around that. Also, I've said this before, for anybody who leaves comments, on this channel, I don't really get into a lot of the nerdy football fan side of things. This is a little bit a mix of like Chiefs news, but also when we really get into the season, that's when I do weekly blog post recaps of each game, and I also dive into each game on my podcast. But again, I'm not doing film study. I'm not going to get into super technical things when it comes to football. There's a lot of other outlets, analysts, and experts that cover a lot of those things. Some people who know a little bit more of what they're talking about than others. As a fan, it's a place to talk about what's going on with the team, but I'm not necessarily going to get into too many nitty-gritty details in the weeds on certain specific topics, really down to like the fundamentals and the X's and O's. Sometimes we'll get into a little bit of that, but not a whole lot. So I kind of touched on the OTAs, the first wave of OTAs at the end of May. But in June, it's just that second round. And I think that is just, kind of another look at some of the younger talent that we've gotten and the rest of the team getting involved. But the mandatory veteran minicamp, that took place about a week and a half later, June 9th through 11th. And that is another mini camp that Rashee Rice missed due to his arrest in May. I think he got out of jail a little bit shortly after the veteran mini camp. We did see Mahomes in OTAs, and I believe also in the vet mini camp. His recovery is looking good. It's looking promising for him to come back at the start of the season. But again, I've been a little bit more skeptical and cautious with my optimistic hopes, projections, potential for the Chiefs this season. I think more importantly, I just don't want to see Mahomes further aggravate that ACL and potentially re-worsen the injury or get injured again, and us have an even longer potential period of time from 2026 into 2027 where we're without Mahomes. So I think it's crucial that he stay healthy. We keep him protected. We keep that knee intact, the rest of his body intact, really. Yeah, those are kind of two of the things that, happened in the early part of June. OTAs, number 2, mandatory veteran minicamp. We did have a notable name come back to the Chiefs, Sneed. There is a reunion. There was a lot of talk and speculation as to whether Sneed could potentially come back to the Chiefs. And I don't know whether you want to say that Sneed is like damaged goods. That's probably a pretty harsh way of putting it. I'm not calling him that. I'm glad to have Sneed back. But like anything, like with any player, he's a couple of years older since we traded him away a couple of years ago. He has had some injury time when he was in Tennessee, so it's not the same version of Sneed that we're getting back here in 2026. And I think that might just be a 1-year contract. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's most likely, at least for this year, a short-term veteran presence type of a move that the Chiefs made. But I'm all for it. I like when the Chiefs reunite with the right guys, I will say. There are some players that come back to the Chiefs that, you know, I understand having to release and cut guys for roster and salary cap purposes, but when you cut someone and just bring them right back and they land on practice squad, that's not really much of a noteworthy move, obviously. So Sneed is back, so that's pretty cool. It'll be interesting to see how he rotates in with some of the younger guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball that we got in the draft and in free agency. In addition to Sneed returning, talking about Patrick Mahomes and his injury a little while earlier, Mahomes also had a very noteworthy contract extension. Again, not going to go into all the numbers, the contract specifics and details, but it is an extension, and I don't think this is surprising really to anybody. I mean, we already signed him to that approximately $500 million 10-year contract after we won. I can't remember if it was after we lost the Bucs Super Bowl or if it was shortly before we won, maybe when we won the second Super Bowl. But early on in his career, he did sign that massive deal, and he's had just about every year he's had a restructuring of that contract. So it was only a matter of time that we extended him, and maybe it's not surprising. Maybe it's not a coincidence that the extension happened in the offseason following his crucial ACL injury. I think it's kind of a sign of the Chiefs front office and as an entire organization just showing Mahomes, hey, this is how much we do care about you and how much we do need you as our QB1. I also think, too, probably just looking at the contracts as a whole across the board as an entire team, probably just making sense of when the best time was to extend him, just because depending on how much a player counts towards the salary cap on a given year, because these contracts, it's not as simple as, they're getting paid the same amount of money every single year. Some of them are a little bit more front-loaded than others. It was probably the right time to do it. And really the goal is, I think if you're a Chiefs fan or if you're a part of the Chiefs organization, the goal is we want Mahomes on the Chiefs and in Kansas City for the entirety of his career. We do not want to see Mahomes get towards the end of his career. Maybe potentially Andy Reid has retired and moved on. We don't want to see Mahomes with another team. And I don't think he wants that either. I think he's said it multiple times that he loves Kansas City and he wants to be here for life. So both sides mutually very much on the same page. I don't want to see this be like a Michael Jordan comes out of retirement to play for the Wizards, or Brett Favre comes out of retirement and plays for the Vikings and the Jets. LeBron James is, in my opinion, kind of tainting his career by playing with so many other teams in the back half of his career. So the extension is a great thing. Other moves, post free agency frenzy, way after the fact of free agency frenzy, Wanya Morris was traded to the Atlanta Falcons for a 2027 6th and 7th round picks. Wanya Morris, I respect him as a guy. He had a couple of brief memorable moments as a Chief, but otherwise, we knew he had slid way down the depth chart. Not the ideal offensive lineman that we want to have in our rotation, so I'm fine with it. And honestly, even just being able to snag 2 late round picks for next year's draft for Wanya Morris, I mean, that kind of says a lot. I think we won that deal. I think that was kind of a steal, in my opinion. Real quick, just want to touch on defensive backs coach Dave Merritt. There was a little bit of unfortunate news a month ago about him, some kind of domestic dispute or violence assault charge, I think, between him and his daughter, against him from his daughter. Turns out that the NFL will not discipline Chiefs DBs coach Dave Merritt after an investigation did not find sufficient evidence. So a misdemeanor domestic battery complaint filed by the DA in Johnson County, Kansas. So it sounds like an internal family, just maybe household domestic dispute. So no punishment is going to come down from the NFL. And this is honestly a bit unlike Coach Merritt and out of character, I think, for him. I have not heard a single bad thing about this guy in all his time being with the Chiefs. I wasn't too concerned with it. We've obviously had a lot more pressing news and matters involving Rashee Rice. Just wanted to kind of follow up on that because I know a month ago there was that news that did come out that was a little bit surprising to see about Coach Merritt, but hopefully everything is okay. Moving right along, not football, but football. The very first game at Arrowhead as part of the 2026 FIFA World Cup was Argentina versus Algeria. And in that game, Messi had a hat trick. I watched just a little bit of the beginning of that game and looked at some pictures on Instagram. I was more so curious. I'm not a huge soccer fan, but I'll tune into the World Cup. I was a little bit more intrigued just to see what Arrowhead would look like for the World Cup, and I've seen some pictures tracking leading up to that game, just preparing the field and all. And I wouldn't say that Arrowhead was completely unrecognizable, but on the broadcast at least, there were parts of just watching the game and seeing shots from inside the stadium. Just it did look a lot different. So I really thought that was a very cool thing as part of Arrowhead's history, just being able to host some World Cup games. So really, really cool. Moving on, I am kind of glad that I'm recording this on Friday, July 3rd, because today is actually, and it's probably going on right now, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's wedding. So congratulations to Trav and Tay Swift. It is at Madison Square Garden, and apparently celebrities are flocking to MSG for the wedding. You know, there's articles on ESPN about why they picked Madison Square Garden for their wedding. A lot of talk around law enforcement presence and just the overall security at the Garden. There's like a whole FAQ article on ESPN for the wedding. Good for them. I can't stand when I hear a bunch of people just hating on both of them. You know, I'm glad they're both happy. You know, nothing but good luck and well wishes to a long life together and successful, happy marriage, hopefully. And really cool for Taylor Swift too, because I don't think she's ever been married before, but she's definitely been in long-term relationships, and none of them have ever worked out long-term for life. And so for her and Trav to work out is really, really cool. So happy for them. And it's a good thing that they are having their wedding and probably honeymoon right before, early on in the month before training camp. So I'm, happy for Travis and can't wait to see post-married life Travis Kelce make his, what is this? Is this his 14th season? I think it's his 14th season. Yeah, just kind of wanted to address that today is the day of their actual wedding. It's probably, again, like I said, probably going on right now. I would imagine it's probably reception time. I mentioned this earlier. Rashee Rice out of jail. Cannot remember the exact date. I want to say it was like June 15th or 16th that he got out of jail. Maybe the 14th. Thankfully, since then, no bad news of Rashee Rice getting into any further trouble. There was a video that was posted from X with him getting out of jail and, two quote-unquote reporters who were really just guys in like street clothes and trying to chase him down and film him on their phones. So I thought that was kind of stupid and just kind of funny. But Rashee Rice is out of jail. Hopefully he stays out of trouble. Hopefully all he's doing between now and training camp is continuing to rehab, get caught up to speed with the team on playbook, installments, wide receiver room, offensive team discussions, meetings that he missed, all those kinds of things. And again, just laying low, staying out of trouble. Again, this is a contract year for Rashee, so if he does not make the most of it, it's likely we move on from him. I still really like him. I believe in all these second chances that he is getting and hope that things just work out for the best here on out. Yeah, so, that was kind of the June rundown. I don't want to get into too much more than that. Again, this video is a little delayed, just life, work, a lot of other videos that I'm coming out with on my other channels, and all part of me trying to kind of break out with a portfolio and eventually change jobs and transition my career into a full-time career with videography, editing, production as a whole. Finally, did get on here and record, and we're doing this in a little bit of a different order. So usually I blog, then I basically supplement the blog post with a podcast episode. In the off season, we are doing just a monthly blog and podcast. During the season, we're going to try to do it weekly. I'm going to try my best. It might be every 2 weeks. Later this month, we will come out with the July episode at the start of training camp. And then most likely in August, we will do the last episode before my family and I actually pack up and move from Maryland to the Kansas City area. I will probably do the August episode. I want to probably target first or second game, a preseason game, kind of a recap, probably after we first see a glimpse of Mahomes back on the field. That's the plan. And then once we get in full swing with the regular season, we're going to try to do these on a weekly basis. That's going to do it for this June episode. I apologize. That was very quick and long-winded, kind of just word vomited a lot. I've been keeping track of just some high-level topics and talking points across the month of June, but this is just kind of how it is in the summer. I mean, the news is a little bit more sparse. There's not as much to talk about. I'm not on this channel going to be reaching for a bunch of like evergreen things to talk about when there isn't a whole lot to talk about. Just excited to see the boys back in action in the summer heat with the pads on in training camp, and I'm just very hopeful that Mahomes continues to rehab and recover well. Things are looking good for him so far. We need our leader and our captain out on the field, so hoping that he comes back stronger and better than ever. Hopefully he can be comeback player of the year. That would be just phenomenal. And overall, trying to hope and see that the Chiefs get back to the playoffs and make another run. That's going to do it for this episode in the month of June, even though we're now in July. But again, my name is Alex Liu. This is Win or Lose Chiefs News Podcast Edition. Please be sure to check out my blog. Again, I'm leaving a link to that in the description down below. Leave me a like, comment, share, and I will see you guys in the next one. How about those Chiefs?